Hi, in this video I want to take just a minute and answer the question of how can I have a thyroid problem when all my labs are coming back normal? And I want to just give you some of my experience working with hundreds, if not 1,000 plus different thyroid labs. The first thing that I want to mention is that the analysis process used by most medical practitioners to evaluate the thyroid is just not that great. They're looking at one number as a sort of gatekeeper in the thyroid, and that is the thyroid stimulating hormone, or TSH level. And the thought process is that as long as that is in range, then everything looks fine with the thyroid. The problem with that is it only tells a fraction of the story, and it's a slow mover. So that means that you can actually have a problem with your thyroid for several years before that number will change on a lab. So that's one of the problems. And even if they do add a T3 and a T4 to the TSH, which and occasionally I see people that have had those three numbers run, it still isn't telling the story. When I run a thyroid panel, I'm looking at 8 markers, and I'm not just coming at it and looking at, is the thyroid slowing down or speeding up? That's what you're asking when you look at the TSH alone. You just want to know whether the thermostat has been cranked up so that you have to produce more thyroid hormone for your body. But in reality, what happens in the thyroid is that the most common reasons for a thyroid to slow down actually happen outside of the thyroid. So not only do you need to completely evaluate the thyroid so you know whether it's the thyroid is slowing down because the thyroid's a problem, you need to know whether the thyroid is slowing down because it's coming from something outside. The liver can be a big problem. 60% of a conversion from an inactive to an active form of the thyroid hormone, the kind that makes you feel good, the kind that makes your hair nice and thick, the kind that makes you not freezing cold all the time and have some metabolic activity so that you're not gaining a ton of weight. That form of the thyroid hormone, the conversion of that happens 60% of that in the liver. So that's why I always look at the thyroid hormones in conjunction with a full body profile, because we don't want to just stick your thyroid in a box and look at it and say, is one number out of range? Oh, we have a problem, we're going to throw some meds at it. We want to evaluate the right labs, and we want to evaluate you as a whole person. The other reason that I feel like the labs come back normal when they're really in fact not normal and you're not feeling normal at all is because the reference ranges for these things are completely useless. And most people think that reference ranges are things that where healthy people live. If it's between, this bottom number that they put on the lab and this top number that they put on the lab, that's where you're healthy. In fact, it doesn't have to do with your health. It has to do with, they just add up all the people and they take where 95% of the values fall, and that's what they use as a reference range. So if you consider the fact that 1 out of every 5 women and 1 out of every 10 men in the United States has a thyroid problem, we can't just assume that these numbers represent health. So those are the 2 reasons. That the labs you've had done aren't looking at enough things to give you the full picture, and then the ranges that people are using to tell you whether or not those are in range they're not based on health, they're based on statistics. So anyway, I hope that it gives you a little bit of background on why I do the labs that I do and why I look at them differently.